Massive upset. Alberta Grassroots movement crushes hardline opponents in shocking by-election win. Alberta's political landscape was shaken by the recent by-election results, which saw grassroots candidates sweep rural ridings and deliver a humbling blow to hardline factions hoping to gain momentum. The by-election, especially in ridings like Old Stidsbury Three Hills and urban centers like Edmonton Strathcona, became a focal point for voter frustration and a growing appetite for citizen-driven politics. The outcome shocked many observers, not because the ruling UCP held its seat, but because a wave of local, independent candidates performed so strongly, while more ideologically rigid parties faltered. What began as a localized vote became a proxy for larger questions about independence, representation, and the direction of conservatism in Alberta. One of the most talked-about figures going into the by-election was Davies, leader of the Alberta Republican Party. His party, advocating for separation and conservative reform, hoped to galvanize support from rural voters frustrated by what they see as federal overreach and political stagnation. Davies had appeared on the Fringe YouTube channel days before the vote, offering a platform to outline his vision. However, the interviews sparked mixed reactions. While some appreciated his passion, others noticed inconsistencies between what he said in the interview and what he had previously stated in public. These discrepancies raised concerns about his credibility, especially among undecided or skeptical voters looking for clarity, not confusion. As votes were tallied, the data painted a clear picture. In key ridings, independent candidates, those not backed by large party machines or separatist branding, rose significantly, while Davies' party underperformed expectations. In Old Stidsbury Three Hills, the UCP retained its seat, but not without a fight. The Alberta Republican Party lagged behind both the NDP and the UCP, effectively landing in third. Though Davies gained some traction, he was not able to overcome the baggage associated with his past political involvement, including his connection to earlier controversies during the Jason Kenney and Jeff Callaway years. Despite no formal charges, the memory of campaign irregularities remained fresh for many voters. These results sparked broader conversation about the dangers of vote splitting on the right. Commentators like Cian Beaksey and Marty Up North chimed in, warning that fringe parties like the Alberta Republicans, while well-meaning, risk undermining the very causes they claim to support. The NDP, though losing ground in much of the province, held firm in its urban strongholds, thanks in part to the fractured conservative vote. Marty noted that the NDP's base remains concentrated among federal employees, academics, and public sector unions, groups with high turnout and deep organization. If conservatives remain divided, he warned, even weakened parties like the NDP could pick up unexpected wins. Danielle Smith's leadership was a central focus of the analysis. While she did not face a direct challenge in this by-election, the ripple effects reach her government. The grassroots surge is a mixed signal, a win for local voices, but also a wake-up call. If Smith ignores the independence question or allows new parties to splinter her base, she risks opening the door for a leftist resurgence. The host of The Fringe argued that Smith remains the only viable leader for those who support Alberta autonomy, and that now is the time to consolidate the movement, not fragment it. He urged the Republican Party and similar groups to rethink their path before inadvertently enabling the very outcomes they oppose. Beyond the electoral drama, the Alberta Independence Headquarters is preparing to release its revised fiscal framework, a key step in building a viable economic case for greater autonomy. Though the official document hasn't been made public, early reviews from trusted insiders suggest the numbers are serious and potentially transformative. The press conference to unveil the plan is expected soon, and grassroots activists are eagerly waiting to see whether it contains a clear, responsible roadmap. The host emphasized that this type of citizen-led initiative, based on solid data and strategic thinking, is the kind of effort that can make independence more than just a slogan. What makes this by-election especially significant is how it demonstrated a hunger for change that doesn't depend on the usual political machinery. The host argued that true political reform can't come from simply swapping one political party for another. Instead, it must come from sustained civic engagement, petition drives, public pressure, and active participation. These mechanisms, rather than campaign slogans, are what will ultimately move Alberta's political destiny. While parties like the Alberta Republicans may draw attention, it's grassroots momentum, not party branding, that has begun to shift the conversation across the province. Naheed Nainey's win in an urban riding added another layer to the unfolding narrative. Though expected, his victory raised questions about whether the NDP could regain a foothold if Conservatives remain distracted or divided. The host questioned whether Nainey's win marks a last hurrah or a potential comeback for Alberta's New Democrats. Either way, it highlighted the need for a unified front among Conservatives and those advocating for greater provincial independence. Without discipline and alignment, the left could exploit Conservative disarray, especially in a province where progressive pockets remain well-organized and media-savvy. The timing of this by-election also matters. With federal politics quiet during the summer recess, provincial issues have taken center stage. But this lull won't last. Prime Minister Mark Carney, who replaced Justin Trudeau after winning the Liberal leadership, is already advancing new national priorities following his snap election win on April 28, 2025. Carney's government is poised to push forward with controversial national policies, including interprovincial infrastructure mandates and expanded federal oversight. For Alberta, these moves may reignite long-standing grievances over autonomy, revenue sharing, and political respect from Ottawa. This makes the urgency of Alberta's internal unity even more pressing. The host suggested that citizen-driven independence movements have a window of opportunity to shape the debate before Ottawa reasserts its authority more forcefully. With Mark Carney framing federal leadership around economic resilience and national unity, any disorganized push from the West could be sidelined or labeled fringe. For Danielle Smith and Alberta's independence advocates, the challenge now is to present a united, serious, and forward-thinking alternative, not an infighting, fractured front. As Alberta Independence HQ prepares its public rollout, the host reminded his audience that real action begins on the ground. It's not about waiting for a hero to emerge or a party to deliver salvation. It's about citizens doing the hard work, engaging neighbors, organizing meetings, building trust in the process, and preparing for potential referendums. The political future of Alberta is being forged not in legislatures, but in living rooms, community halls, and YouTube comment sections. Whether that future includes autonomy or not depends on the next steps taken by everyday people, not party elites. The by-election is now behind Alberta, but the implications are just beginning. It wasn't simply a loss for Cam Davies or a win for Naheed Nainey. It was a turning point, a signal that grassroots movements, if organized and focused, can outpace both ideological hardliners and establishment machines. The path ahead remains uncertain, but the message from voters is clear. Albertans want something real. Whether they get it will depend on unity, leadership, and relentless civic engagement. The political tide is shifting, and the next wave will be shaped by those who show up, speak out, and refuse to settle.